Act 2A, Escalate conflict, introduce Enkidu. The gods had seen enough. They had heard the cries of the people, felt the despair rising from the depths of Uruk, and watched as the balance of the earth teetered on the edge of ruin. Gilgamesh, with his insatiable desires and unrelenting arrogance, had gone too far. There was no humility in his heart, no wisdom to temper his power. His tyranny, unchecked and unchallenged, had spread like wildfire across the land. And yet, despite his strength, despite his divine heritage, the gods knew he was incomplete. He was a ruler without understanding, a king without compassion. What he needed was a challenge, one that would break him down and force him to confront the very limits of his own power. In the heavens, the gods convened. They whispered to one another, their voices filled with both anger and pity. From their divine abode, they created a being of unparalleled strength and purity, a creature to rival Gilgamesh, a force to challenge his dominion over the earth. And thus, from the sacred clay of the earth and the breath of the winds, Enkidu was born. Enkidu was not of civilization, not of Uruk or any city. He was wild, untamed, a child of the wilderness. Raised by the beasts of the forest, he roamed free, untouched by the hands of men, with no understanding of the world beyond the green forests and rocky plains. His body was like that of a lion, muscular and powerful, covered in thick matted hair that caught the sunlight as he moved through the land. His eyes burned with a fire of life, his senses sharp, attuned to the rhythm of the natural world. He could hear the faintest rustle of leaves, feel the tremors of the earth beneath his feet, and smell the scent of prey from miles away. Enkidu was the embodiment of the wilderness, a creature of instinct and freedom. For days, Enkidu lived among the wild animals of the forest, running with the gazelles, swimming with the river otters, and hunting with the wolves. He was one with nature, a being of pure vitality. His power was unmatched, and the animals, once fearful of mankind, now accepted him as one of their own. They had never seen anything like him. This human who could move as they did, who could communicate without words, only through actions and shared understanding. But Enkidu's existence, as peaceful as it was not destined to last. The world of man, with its rules and its cities, was calling to him. It was not enough for the gods that Enkidu lived in the wild. They wanted him to cross the threshold into civilization. They wanted him to challenge Gilgamesh, to test the king's might and his very understanding of what it meant to be a ruler. The gods, in their wisdom, knew that Enkidu's true purpose would be fulfilled only when he met the man who had wrought such suffering on the earth, the one who had taken from the people without mercy. And so they sent a woman, Shamat, a temple priestess, skilled in the ways of seduction and persuasion, to find Enkidu and lead him into the world of men. She was their instrument, the one who would break Enkidu's connection to the wild and bring him into the fold of civilization. Shamat was no stranger to the desires of men. She was beautiful, graceful, and wise, capable of guiding even the most wild of creatures into the hands of civilization. When Shamat first met Enkidu, he was bathing in a pool near the edge of the forest. The animals, sensing her presence, recoiled, but Enkidu, curious, approached her. His wild, untamed nature was evident in his eyes, and yet there was something in his gaze, something that suggested a longing for something more. Shamat, recognizing the fire within him, knew this was the moment. She spoke softly to him, her words like honey, promising the pleasures of the world beyond the wilderness. She told him of the city of Uruk, where men and women lived together, where kings ruled, and where the pleasures of the flesh and the mind awaited him. At first, Enkidu was resistant. He was a creature of the wild, free from the constraints of society. He had no need for the things Shamat spoke of. But Shamat was patient. She spent days with him, teaching him the ways of men. She introduced him to the art of eating bread, the drink of beer, and the pleasures of human touch. Slowly, Enkidu's connection to the wild began to fade. He learned to walk with the grace of a man, to speak the language of civilization, and to understand the complexities of human emotion. The wild animals, once his kin, now saw him as a stranger. He had lost the purity of his nature, and in its place he found something new, a hunger, an ambition, a desire to see the world of men. It wasn't long before Enkidu's journey brought him to the gates of Uruk, the great city ruled by Gilgamesh. The walls of the city loomed before him, and he stood at the entrance, a man now, but still with the heart of the wild. He was ready to face the world of men, to test his strength against the rulers of his strange new world, the people of Uruk, who had heard of Gilgamesh's exploits and tyrannical rule, watched in awe as the wild man walked through their streets. They had never seen a creature like him, a man who seemed both part of the earth and separate from it, a being who held the power of nature in his very presence. His wild eyes met those of the citizens, and for the first time they felt a stirring in their hearts, a hope, a fear, a sense of something momentous about to unfold. And so it was that Enkidu entered Uruk, the city of Gilgamesh, the city that had seen no equal in strength, power, or might. The two forces, wild and civilized, untamed and controlled, were destined to meet. It wasn't long before the fateful encounter occurred. Gilgamesh, who had heard tales of this wild man, saw him as an affront to his own power. Enkidu, on the other hand, saw in Gilgamesh a king who embodied everything he had come to despise: pride, arrogance, and tyranny. Their first meeting was not one of friendship, but of conflict. They met in the city streets, and their eyes locked in mutual defiance. The clash between them was inevitable, and the city of Uruk became the battleground for their contest. Gilgamesh, with his towering strength and godlike presence, saw Enkidu as a threat, an outsider who dared to challenge his rule. Enkidu, with his wild heart and newfound purpose, saw Gilgamesh as a king who needed to be humbled, a ruler whose power had grown unchecked for far too long. Their battle was fierce and unrelenting. The ground shook beneath their feet as they grappled, their muscles straining with each blow. The people of Uruk watched in awe as the two titans collided, their strength evenly matched. Neither one could claim victory, but the battle, instead of breaking them, forged an unbreakable bond between them. They recognized in one another not just enemies, but equals. Two beings who could not be controlled, who could not be swayed by the forces that sought to dominate them. The clash between Gilgamesh and Enkidu would not end in death, but in something far more powerful, a friendship, one forged in the fires of conflict and tempered by the mutual respect they had for each other as strength. This bond would shape their destinies, leading them on a journey that would take them to the ends of the earth and beyond as they faced the greatest challenges of their lives. But before that, they would embark on a quest together, one that would test their friendship and their courage, and in the end transform them both in ways they never imagined.